Special Forces selection is where they absolutely rinse you to your lowest ebb, and then when you are at that lowest ebb, thinking you've got nothing else to give, they come up and say, right, give me everything you've got. He said, are you in the SBS or something like that? He says, no, if those boys in the pub, you wouldn't even know they were here. And then all of a sudden, I end up becoming the chimp that Sam Burgess has taken over the vehicle. And he's driving this freedom bus to nowhere. So I went into that concept of not fighting back, and I lay there and I died.
Ollie Ollerton, thanks for coming on the show again.
I
know.
I'm sorry, I tried to do it in your accent.
You did. I picked up on that late.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be on again, mate. And thank you for coming to the wonderful Breakpoint HQ.
I was just saying before off air, it's like a bit harder. It was a bit harder to prep for this one because the last episode we did, I listened back to it, and it was just like back to back, like the best yarns, the story after story after story, action, hilarity all the way through. And then I was like, how am I going to do this one? Obviously, I read your second book. Is that one Breakpoint?
No, the second one. The first one was Breakpoint. So that
Battle
was
Ready is your second one.
The first one was the autobiography, setting the foundation of who I am. Second one was
with all the stories.
Battle Ready. Yeah. So Battle Ready was the, when I put myself into that house, 2014. It's a process I put myself through, process of change.
Yeah, that's crazy because you'd gone through your military career by that stage. Then you'd gone to Australia. You were getting on the juice big time, like drinking a lot, addicted to Valium and
steroids.
You're on the roids. What?
Yeah, I was when we got to Iraq as a contractor. You imagine that alpha male world.
Yeah.
There was so much of that stuff going around, and you could get anything in Iraq. But yeah, I was dabbling in that. So it's not the best cocktail for your mindset. No. Valium, alcohol, and steroids. And actually, I thought about this the other day. I think the worst out of all those drugs was alcohol. The hardest to stop, for sure.
It's got such a big social aspect to it, doesn't
it? It is. But I'm no longer that person that needs to rent a personality. So,
but there are a good way of putting it. There are so many people that wake up on a Sunday and you're like, I'm not doing that again. That's the easiest time to give up. You're like, I'm not doing that again. Then Friday rolls around, you're like, the social aspect, it gets you.
Yeah.
And also
100%.
because when I was reading Battle Ready and I was going through, I was like, could I give up alcohol? And then I think about like, you have so many associations of good times with it. It's like having a beer with your old man, or like having a beer when you catch up with your mates. Yeah. And so to give that up, it's such a big step, and it's such a big like bang decision to make. It's quite a strong decision.
It is, but it's that's the mental aspects of it, because at the end of the day, that's why that says short-term discomfort, long-term gain, because the opposite of that is exactly how we're wired as humans. And that is short-term comfort that leads to long-term pain. And let's face it, I mean, I got to that point in my life where I started, and everything in my life, including my wife. I have to understand the purpose. I have to understand the purpose of everything that's in my life, because I have spent a lot of the time sort of bouncing around, not having a clue who I am, really, bouncing around for a lot of my life. It was only at 43 when I really sort of started looking internally for who I was. So I'm making the most of every moment, and that's the fact of the matter is, I'll look at everything. What's the purpose in this? What was the purpose in alcohol for me? And that's why in that book, it's about the purpose pyramid. Alcohol in the middle. You imagine a pyramid, 3 questions. Do I enjoy it? Does it add growth? Does it help others? If you can't tick one of those, in fact, if every one of those is across, why is it in your life? That for me, yeah. Do I enjoy alcohol? Yep, short term, but not long term. But a lot of people, it's just your mind that locks you into that. Oh, I couldn't do without it. At the end of the day, I was thinking about this again. I'm always thinking. But it's like, it's the why. It's the why. If you haven't got a strong why, then you're going to focus on the how. If you focus on the how, you're never going to get anywhere, because it's the why that pulls you through the hardship. For me, why did I give up coffee? I've got to have a reason why. Coffee, alcohol, everything. I've got a strong why that's pulling me through. And if you don't go through that process with anything you want to achieve, you ain't going to achieve it. It's fact. You're going to be pulled back into your repeat habit loop of nothing, in your comfort zone, and that's the way the brain is wired to keep you in that, locked in that repetitive cycle, so.
Oh, you're quite a spiritual dude, and like one of the big moments in your spiritual journey, if you like, was going to South America. It's something that I had a friend that did that as well, and he went and he was suffering from anxiety. He had a business, and he's a very successful businessman. But part of that, I think, is probably that his anxiety kind of almost drove him to be successful. But he went to South America and did the Ayahuasca as well. I would be interested to hear your experience, because it kind of relates to the Chimp story. I won't get you to tell the whole Chimp story.
We didn't talk about this last time, did we? I don't think had I been though. I had been.
Oh no, we didn't talk about ayahuasca.
No, but I had been.
Yeah.
I had been, because that was just for me just such a phenomenal experience. And if people want to, really, ayahuasca really confirmed to me we are part of something far, far bigger. It made me understand that the programming that we're all subject to is so intense that it really inhibits the power of who we are as humans. And the expanse of the mind is just infinite, absolutely infinite. I mean, for me going there, I didn't know what to expect. I'm in a good place. So I'm thinking, but I also went...
you're on top of things.
On top of things, yeah. I was at that point.
Yeah.
So I thought. But, I went with a load of veterans, from all over the world that's suffering all kinds of PTSD issues. I went with an organisation called the Heroic Hearts Project. I'm a trustee of that charity. They're starting to bring that exposure. They've just done their first retreat, actually, in Peru. Yeah, so that was an absolute success. But I went there with a load of other people, and they've obviously got issues that, real issues that are at its peak. And I'd resolved a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, everything. I'd resolved everything. I was in a good place. So when I went to see the shaman, you have to go for a bit of an interview, if you call it that, just a chat with the shaman. They ask you what you've got to have an intention. What do you want to resolve?
So the shaman is kind of like the person leading this.
Leading this. I hate to call it a doctor because he's far more experienced and knowledgeable than the doctor. But basically, they're leading the experience. So what is it you want to resolve? And when I went up, I was just like, I had to dig for something. It was the fact I just went, well, I really want to get rid of that self-destruct button. So regardless of what happens in my life, it's never even there. It's not even an option. That's the only thing I could think about. And I just went, and I think I've got a bit of unfinished business with the chimp. Just slipped it in there, just thinking that's not going to happen. And then anyway, we did the first experience, and that was quite disappointing. But the thing is, they have to limit the amount. It's just a test. The first session is a test just to see what your tolerance levels are like. And I came away thinking, some people were saying, that was unbelievable. I was like, maybe it's not going to work on me.
Stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went into the second session the next night. You have a debrief the next day. You talk about stuff. Next night I went in. They upped the dose.
Right. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I got on that flipping train, that psychedelic crazy train. And, when you start, it's a hallucinogenic. It's plant medicine, hundreds and maybe more of years old.
But you're loose, like, you're not asleep. It's not like a general anesthetic where you're gone to dreamland or anything. Like you're awake, right?
Yeah.
But you're seeing stuff.
You're seeing visions, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. And for me, exactly. When you first come up on it, it's like you sat in this thing called a maloka, a massive, big, round sort of jungle hut. And you've got the sound of the jungle and everything. You've got everything. You do the sessions at night. You've got a bed that you can lay down on. You can sit up on. You can do whatever on, basically. And the shaman, one of the shaman comes round and starts singing the sort of spiritual songs to draw out all the bad and stuff. Honestly, it's quite an experience. Yeah.
You're
And
feeling a little bit vulnerable at that point, wouldn't you?
yeah, absolutely. You want to see this, and they're actually, when she's singing, but then she's drawing out the bad energy from you, and she spits it out into a bucket. She's spitting out that energy.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So basically, when and that's going on, and then when I start to feel it sort of going on the journey, everything starts, the whole world around me starts to be this. Like all this geometry, all this lit geometry, and all these shapes, and figuring out it's crazy.
You think you're Picasso all of a sudden?
Yeah, it was, and you just think, whoa, this is intense. But then you start, to massive reflection for me straight away was, you start to reflect on your life. You start to reflect on the things that really empower your life, and especially for me at that time, I've started to be in the public eye and started to be, obviously massive presence on Instagram and social media and everything else. And I had this real reflection as soon as I started going into thinking about how much we waste putting all our energy into creating the perception of happiness. We create this separate entity away from us that is not the real us, but it's the perception of someone who is happy, it's keeping up with the Joneses, that's, we're quite happy to sacrifice our own mental health, our own well-being to create a perception of someone that looks good for everyone else.
And you just keep going back for the dopamine hit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. But the thing is, the problem there is, and that's always going to be the case. But the thing is, what social media does, it amplifies that. So before you know it, there's a lot of people out there that actually put so much energy into the perception of this person they're creating that they end up being the byproduct. And when you have that misbalance, that's not a great place to be. You're putting all your energy into something that's not really you. And the real you is the person that's hidden in the corner, behind closed doors, in a depressed state, probably crying, in a state of trauma. And really, that will always be there. It's, no one puts all their dirty washing out for everyone to see. That's fact. But the fact of the matter is, you can't let that, again, be in the driving seat. That can't be the most empowering. That can't be the primary.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, we're in a world, especially when I call it egogram, everyone's out there faking perfection. Everyone. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's hard for people growing up. That's hard for everyone, because at the end of the day, failure is an absolute weapon.
I feel like it's starting to shift a little bit, and I'm starting to see more accounts where people are putting out the real them, and they're starting to cut through.
Yeah.
I've got a friend in New Zealand. She's a radio DJ named Sharon. She puts fucking everything on Insta, and it's like everything, like that's warts and all kind of stuff. And it's
great.
Like, and she presents like a Dancing with the Stars show as well. So she's dolled up on one one photo, and the next one,
the reality.
She's got the reality. She's got the skin rash. She's putting everything up there. Yeah, and it's quite refreshing to see that kind of stuff come through. But it's definitely not the norm, is it?
No, it's not the norm, and I totally agree. You do see those, and it's great. It's refreshing to see, isn't it? Because basically you've got this. You imagine someone sitting there, especially when you're going through those young years, pubescent years, and then all of a sudden you can create a persona on Instagram of someone that's really not you. You've got all the filters and everything. And before you know it, you put so much energy into that person. It's getting a load of attention from everyone else. You're never going to want to let people see the real you.
Yeah.
Because you've created that persona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know that if people knew who it really was behind that would be quite disappointing, because they've created this something. So many people out there. The problem is that we end up comparison. And comparison is a terrible thing.
It's a hard thing to shake, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really, you've got to understand, if you do, and it's all right looking at people and comparing your lives and stuff, but if you feel any element of any kind of jealousy, that means that the problem is with you. You're not fulfilled in your life, and that jealousy is really a lacking on your part. Not jealous for where you want to be. So I just think can be a very toxic world. Social media is that way in general. Listen, I'm on social media. I've got to be.
But you're great on social media. You're always putting stuff out there on your latest motorbike or whatever. Or your BMW.
Absolutely. To be honest, I just want to make sure that everyone. I'm living every moment I can, making the most out of every moment. I've got loads of toys. The reason I've got toys, I've got a toy for every occasion. So,
yeah, you do. I've just been round the breakpoint offices, and you've got a garage full of motorbikes.
Yeah.
Like cool motorbike, like cool as fuck motorbikes.
Yeah, no.
And then another one full of guns.
We won't talk about that. But yeah, I mean, those motorbikes are my handbags.
Yeah, fair enough. That's
You know
a good
what I
way of
mean?
looking
So
at it.
there you go.
Let's go back to your
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, ayahuasca.
Yeah. So basically, I'm starting to go down that journey with the ayahuasca, and it was almost like then I came up against these doors, and it was almost like the doors were different circumstances in my life, different aspects of my life, people or circumstances that I could have gone in that door. And it was almost like I was waiting to be drawn to one of them. And I went to one, and I was drawn into it. And as I went through the door, it became very clear where I was going. And that was back to the circus. And I was like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Because that's that one thing. When it comes to trauma, I've thought about this a lot. When it comes to trauma, we lock away when it happens, we have this survival instinct that helps us get through the situation. We're able to lock away that intimate trauma, and that helps us get through the short term. But to keep it locked away is the worst thing you can do. And that, for me, created such fear, such a great amount of fear to go through that door and think I'm going to have to go in and unlock that trauma. But the thing is, unless I actually committed to that, I'd never resolve my issues with it. And for me, going into that door is like one thing you have to do with ayahuasca, and it's a hard word, especially for anyone, especially for someone in the military special forces, and that is surrender. I was fighting it. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do it. And then just the voice just went, surrender. Just surrender to it. Allow what's going to happen. Ayahuasca goes to where it's needed, not where you want it to go.
Right.
So, you have to surrender to it. The more you fight, the more trauma you cause yourself. And you don't resolve it. You don't go and resolve it. So I ended up going down there. I ended up actually becoming the 10-year-old boy. I was there in the circus. And this is like for real.
Just to give a quick backstory.
Yeah.
So when you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
Burton-on-Trent, was it?
Burton-on-Trent. Well done.
The circus arrived. You were off for a swim. The circus arrived in town. You went in and you saw a little baby chimp.
Yeah.
And you started playing with it. And it was a really nice moment.
Yeah.
And then Mama Chimp or Daddy Chimp came in, attacked you, almost ripped your arm off. You got gangrene.
Yeah.
So very traumatic when you're 10 years old and you can't remember anything before you're 10.
No. Correct. So, and then I'm back there as the 10-year-old boy, and I'm looking over this, the baby chimp, and I'm remembering that. I remember the bliss of that, and then I hear the roar. And you imagine, right, what's happening to me. It's quite funny when I look back at this, because everyone told when we had the debrief the next day. So we're sat there on these. I had all these mattresses each, and I ended up. I was cross-legged by this time. Now.
What, you were cross-legged?
I was cross-legged sitting on my mat, so I'm sat upright.
That's how you start, or is that how you ended up?
No, that's how you start.
Oh,
you can lie down, but I was sat up while I was going through this. And anyway, so I'm going back into the story. I'm the 10-year-old boy, and this blissful moment, unbelievable, sun shining, so gorgeous, timeless, absolutely timeless. And then I hear the roar.
Oh God,
the roar of the beast. You know what I mean? It's like I can remember looking up, and I thought, I was like that, going, oh my God, I'm going to get attacked. I went through that same absolute fear on the day. It was horrendous. But the thing is, it was almost taking me back to that moment, because like I say, you lock away that intimate trauma, and what that was doing for me all through my life was it wasn't really showing me what I went through on that day. When I was on ayahuasca, I was feeling the terror, the absolute horrendous terror that I felt that day.
So you're properly addressing it.
Yeah, fully immersive, like going back there for the first time since I was 10. And something really weird happened at that point. I thought, oh no, the chimp's going to come and attack me. And then all of a sudden, I end up becoming the chimp. Yeah.
What?
So I then become the chimp. And I'm, honestly, by this stage, right, I am on my mat in the Maloka. My feet have sort of rolled backwards. My fists are into the floor at the front like a chimp. I'm feeling the hair, everything on my back. I'm feeling the leaves drop off my back because I've been laying on the floor in the summer heat. I'm feeling everything. I feel I am the animal. And I'm looking at me over my baby. And it's almost like I've got this computer screen like Terminator. And it's looking at me going, threat, threat, threat. And it's absolutely crazy. But I'm roaring. In the Maloka, there's everyone else there going through their experiences, and I'm roaring like the chimp. I am the chimp.
You're like actually making the roaring.
I'm making the roaring noises, everything. I am the chimp, and I'm like a proper chimp on the mat. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. And then I thought, yeah, well, it's going to go in for the attack now. And it was like I became the chimp and everything. I was looking at the situation, saw the threat. I was about to come on my attack, and it didn't happen. And then it's almost I came out of that experience. It didn't go into that attack. And then it started me reflecting. It stopped it right there. And it started me reflecting. And I then started to I started to have a major compassion for the chimp. See, all the time, all the way through my life, and I didn't talk about it for a lot of years, but all the time I did talk about it, it was all about me being the victim. Poor old me, and that's what we do as humans. We're brilliant victims if we're given the opportunity to do so. Poor me, it happened to me. And then it made me realise I stepped into the chimp's enclosure.
Yeah.
It didn't come looking for me. You know what I mean? So it took me out of being the victim. It made me part of the bigger picture. And it made me feel so much compassion for that chimp and what it must have seen that day. You know what I mean? Me being a threat to its young, which is what any mother, it was a female in the end, I think, but any mother would do to protect its young. Then I then started to look at that in the rest of my life. And I then started to think about my now wife, Laura, and her relationship with her son. And it started making me feel so much more compassion for her and what she has to go through while living with me while she's got her son. William was he was 11 back then, 10 or 11.
Lovely kid. I mean,
he's fantastic. And it made me then understand that I'd been putting a lot of pressure on Laura, the business, this, that, and the other, perform the business, almost like that was the primary role. And it made me understand that that's, whether it's a conscious thought for her or not, that is never going to be her primary role. William is always going to be her primary role. And it made me feel massive amounts of compassion for Laura and what she has to go through as well. So it really started, compassion was the key word on that. But really the big thing for me in that situation was, for once in my life, taking myself out of being the victim. Stop being the victim. You were just part of the scenario. So that happened, came out, and obviously massive debrief the next day. And hearing some of those stories from the veterans and stuff the next day was incredible, and hearing about how I turned into a chimp from everyone else's perspective was also
so
quite
did
funny.
Other people see this?
No, they saw me. They saw the whole lot. It's like,
did they run?
They should have done. But apparently it's quite a common theme that people turn into that animal sort of state. So it happens fairly, not with anyone else that night, but it happens. I think someone else turned into a snake. But for me, that was that, and I talked about it the next day. It was incredible. I was like, wow, that was amazing. But for me, in my head, right, that's sorted out. It's all done. That's ironed out. And all the time, subconsciously, I'm avoiding the one thing that needed to be done. And it's the intimate trauma I needed to go back and deal with. And I'd not done that yet. I still avoid. And whether that was part of my subconscious sort of drive to avoid that in the moment, so it took me out of that. But anyway, the next night I went in, I thought, oh, where are we going tonight? There's a load of doors down that corridor. Where are we going?
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah. So anyway, went down that night, and then one of the doors opened, and there I am heading back to the circus.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm like, my fingers are on the wall, like on a chalk wall, scraping as we're going down. I'm thinking, no, I'm not. I know what's happening. I know where we're going.
Ollie.
Yeah, surrender. And it's like, I know where I'm going. I know what's going to happen. And I became a 10-year-old boy again. And this time, again, that fear, I was at the point where the chimp was roaring. I didn't become the chimp. I was me. I stayed in me. And then this chimp came and attacked me. And again, it was like the horror I'd always managed to, that actual feeling, that emotion, I managed to sort of scrub out my memory. I was revisiting that for the first time since I was 10, and it was horrendous. See, I'd always seen that as me just having a bit of a scrap with the chimp and yeah, you know what I mean, as you do. But this is like, I felt the horror, the absolute. I was screaming, you know, and this chimp was coming at me, attacked me, and I was losing my life. I can remember, you know, my life was flashing in front of me, especially when the chimp started biting chunks out of me and stuff like that. And then it's almost like, you know, that the chimp was on top of me. It was hideous, absolutely hideous.
So you're reliving it right
I'm reliving
up to
it,
that.
yeah. And I'm screaming, you know, I'm screaming at the top of my voice in my life. And then it stopped. It almost stopped. Whack, stop. And a voice in my head went, what would have happened if you'd never fought back? So I went into that concept of not fighting back, and I lay there and I died.
You died when you're on ayahuasca.
I died, yeah. I didn't physically
No,
die.
I know, but like,
But I lay down,
in your
everything
mind.
stopped, everything became peaceful again. And I was laid down because I died, you know, after the chimp attack. And I just opened my eyes and I was looking straight at my wife's eyes, her beautiful blue eyes. And I looked at her and I stroked her face and I said, don't worry, just come with me. And we went into the spirit world. We were no longer a physical body. We're in this open expanse of this beautiful place of sound. The sounds were just phenomenal. It was just such peaceful. The feeling was just amazing. I was no longer sort of with my wife as such. It was just I was just spirit. It was. You can't explain it. You cannot explain it unless you've been there.
You've done a pretty good job of it.
And anyway, I was in there. I was like thinking, I don't want to go back. I never want to go back. This is me. I want to stay here forever.
That's what people say when they pass over and that they die on the operating table. They often say that they don't want to come back.
It was incredible. It was incredible, and that desire just to stay there was just unbelievable. But then again, I hear this voice saying, "It's not your time. People need you." So then I came back into the physical body, and then the whole thing ended, and it was a big reflection. But the thing for me, although, I mean, I can remember I actually got up out of that and I was like, my God, I went to the, you know, like all the, you know, the people that run the place and all the shape, and I was like, I've seen it. And they were like, I know where he's been. And I said, I'm going. I went up to my room and I just scribbling for ages on a pad, all stuff. You know, things, when I look back at that pad, it was like, one of the main things that really I talk about a lot now is pain screams the loudest when it's dying.
Oh, it's deep.
Yeah. Because it does.
That.
You know, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to anything, it's the pain that screams the loudest at that point of you manage to pull away and get away from it. And this really typifies breakpoint. It's that real discomfort at the moment of extracting yourself from that situation it's the hardest. It's like you imagine a relationship with a partner you've been with forever. You know, it comes to that moment where you're splitting up, not all the time, but a lot of the time, the pain of that, you know, and so it's so easy just to go, oh, let's just put a Band-Aid on. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And just pretend everything's, but you don't result, you end up back in that situation time and time and time again. But pain screams the loudest when it's dying, but you've got to understand, instead of focusing on the pain, you focus on the birth of something new. And that's what you have to do. You know, when it comes to your, you know, this new vocation that you decided to do, Andy, pain's going to scream the loudest when it's dying. It's the end of something, but it's the start of something new. You have to embrace there's something new as opposed to focusing on the pain.
Do you ever get people coming up to you or just having a chat to you about like saying, oh, I could fucking smash that. I could smash that course.
Everyone does that, don't they?
Yeah.
When they're watching on TV.
Yeah. I say
the Red Wine Warriors.
I do
that.
I say that to Jackie all the time, especially if winds her up because her old man was in the military as well. But I say that all the time.
Oh, that's easy.
I do that.
And you could.
The only thing I couldn't do, I reckon, the only thing I'd struggle with is, here I am. Look, look to myself.
Mate.
The thing I couldn't do is that
God
is the lack of sleep would kill me. And the lack of food would.
You know what?
I'm a different person.
That is, you just hit it on the nail on the head, because that is the thing that really kills you. You know, everyone can sit there in the comfort of their homes and go, I could do that. And you probably could. Absolutely. In its singular entity.
Yeah.
But you had the sleep deprivation, you had the hunger, you had the anxiety of not knowing what's happening. Surrender again, right? Everyone that comes on there, you've got to drop the ego. You've got to surrender control to the DS. Some people can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that factor, everything of that creates something very different up here. You know, for the first time in a lot of people's lives, they've never had that. You know, this day and age, if we're hungry, we can go straight into there's a Pret, whatever there is, whatever we can, there's, it's a few steps away.
Whatever you want, you can get.
Whatever you want, you can get. You know, it rains, you can go and, whatever, everything's on tap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything. So once that's taken away, and a lot of people that come in, you can't have your protein shake at a certain hour, you can't have this, you can't have certain foods, you're given what you're given. That, and that creates, and then you've got the clash of everyone on that course together. And that's reality.
Yeah. It's such a different ball game once you add in everything. And also, like, if you were starving and you were exhausted and you did one of those false endings that you guys do in the special forces, and you do it on the show sometimes as well. Where it's like, okay, guys, get in the truck after you've climbed a mountain, and the truck drives off, and you're like, oh my god, I love them. That would break me. That would fucking break me.
I love that.
I'll be hungry. I'll be take my armband.
Yeah.
So
that's why they're designed that way.
Yeah. Oh, actually, so. The thing I was going to ask about that. So you're doing the Australian one. I heard a story. I don't know if it's in mainstream media or not. But I heard it from somewhere. Like Sam Burgess was on there, right?
Yeah.
There's the.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Was there something where he was like, where he took where he took like a hostage situation and just went full noise on it, and you guys were like, holy shit.
Yeah, but it wasn't us. It wasn't. I think they made out it was the DS. But basically, we went through. There was a bit of an interrogation phase, and they were being transited from one location to the next. So we had a guard force come in to do that for us. So anyway, we're off somewhere else. We've gone back. Because it's now we're handing over to the interrogators and stuff. And we get this message that that Sam Burgess has taken over the vehicle, and is driving this freedom bus to nowhere. We're like, what? You are shitting me. And it really happened, Jerry. I think they had someone around the neck, the driver around the neck, and it was brilliant. Where are you going?
What? So how did they resolve that?
I don't know. I think they had to, at the end of the day, they had to bring up everyone just sit back, and I don't know the full story, but they had to just resolve it by saying,
that's outstanding.
Pull your heads in.
Because there was another guy that tried to do a rescue.
Yeah, that was it. That was on the first one.
Yeah.
The blue-fisted dwarf, as Foxy called him.
That's right.
Yeah, that was funny. And he turned up and he had a fence picket. He'd put on a set of blue, gloves on, the fireproof gloves. He had a set of leggings on and a camouflage jacket and a head torch. So we had one we'd held back from when we did the sort of attack. So she didn't make it out on time, so we grabbed her. And next minute, we can hear on the radios they're saying to us, there's someone skirting around the outside of the building, and we're like, what's going on here? Thinking there was going to be a few people come bursting through the door for a rescue attempt. And what we saw was nothing short of amazing, really. It was phenomenal that, Faraz, dressed in what he was dressed in, came bursting through the door, nearly poked me with the fence picket. So I flashed up big time. And Foxy was like, what are you, some kind of blue-fisted midget coming for the rescue? And it was just a hilarious moment. It was just, looking back.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't watched the series because I'm in the UK, but I watched the clip of the YouTube clip. It was fucking funny. Foxy,
hilarious.
Both you guys arcing up at this poor guy. Oh my days. I guess there's probably methods that you use that you're like, okay, this will tap into them, and if that doesn't work, I'll tap into this level where I tap into them, and then this, and then I'll tap into level 3, and I'll tap into them. Yeah. Is that kind of how you guys operate?
Yeah, we do. I mean, listen, I always think, and that's why we do our physical events. But the thing is, a lot of time people can't do a physical event. The fact of the matter is, people can't break through those preconceived limitations just by thinking themselves out of it. You can't have a greatly negative thought and just think yourself out of that thought. You have to take action. You have to add action. You have to make the desire to break away from that old habit more powerful than the habit itself. So really, it's about, that's why our physical events are so, because we're basically, there's no better biohack, if you want to call it that, short, sharp hack than a physical limitation that you push through. You know, when people at their lowest ebb, you know, when they're really being pushed, your mind is going to give up way before your body. And if you can really contradict that in those moments, you know, when your body's like, oh, give in, and you can push through and get to that next level, that then starts to build the resilience. You know, and the more we can do that, the more we tap into that true power. So really, you know, we've got one event we do for the public at the moment. I mean, the corporate events are very different for what we do. You know, there's no physical pressure. It's all about the mental pressure, understanding who you are. We've got we've got a character assessment tool based on neuroscience that we use, which is called Prism. So I'm just doing that just in case a corporate is watching this and wants to, you know, we don't beast corporates. You know, there's a lot more sort of science-backed tools that we use.
Yeah,
for
you're
that.
not just thrashing people through a military thing until they break. You put
exactly.
a bit of thought in behind.
But that whole aspect of doing that, you know, that really is a short, you know, like our weekends, we've got an event we call Denied. And that is I call it a horrible event because it pushes you to that limit. It really pushes you. 36 hours, you get all that stuff we talked about, sleep deprivation, hunger, everything. You have to surrender. And really we get people to force that through, to push them through. And a lot of the time people will want to give in, you know, and the reason we call it Denied is for a number of reasons, but one of them is once that you throw in the towel, you are denied the opportunity to go back on that course. So really it's all about, exactly as Special Forces selection is, it's all about self-motivation. On selection, it's very different to the show. There's no one telling you, giving you a pat on the back. There's no one telling you, you know, shouting at you or anything. It's all self-motivation. You've got to do it because you have desire to want to do it. You know, it has to be all about you.
How much can you really dig into that in 2 days, though?
Well, there's people that will go the duration. For us on Denied, you know, only 50% of people pass that course.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just assuming like you go there for 2 days. It's almost a 2-day boot camp to whack everyone into order.
No,
but
it's
people
not.
actually get kicked off it.
Yeah, no. A lot of people withdraw, but some people, if they're not making the grade, just like the TV show, we cull them.
Really?
You know, sorry. And a lot of, you know, they want to come back. You know, the whole thing with Denied is the fact that you're given a number. And you get a T-shirt, you're given the number. If you pass the course, you keep the T-shirt, you have that number. No one else can ever take that number. So there's a lot of people that fail the course. They then come back. They want to have another go. We hold the number for 12 months. And then they come back and to have another attempt at that number. But really, it's not a case of you just turn up and you just have to endure, you know, the hardship. It's not just about being there. It's about performing. You know, because that's Special Forces selection. Special Forces selection is where they absolutely rinse you to your lowest ebb. And then when you are at that lowest ebb, thinking you've got nothing else to give, they come up and say, right, give me everything you've got. And it's finding that inner strength and inner power. That's what they're looking for.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've been in a pub or something and like SAS guys, or not SAS guys, but guys have gone in there like shouting off the big ones that they're in the Special Forces and they're not actually, and you've like caught them out?
I've not actually caught them out, but Foxy tells an absolutely blinder of a story.
Because I heard Foxy tell
I love
the
the story. It's so funny, and it's, you know, that all the lads have just come back from Afghan. Everyone's in the pub and everything else, and then they look out the window and someone coming into the thing. He's got like his dress uniform on a hanger. He's got like I think he's got like camouflage stuff on and everything, comes in the pub for a pint. And then he's in there, and then the lads are just like drawn to him like a magnet.
With Special Forces boys are.
Yeah, the Special Forces lads were on leave at the time. Yeah. Foxy was one of them. He starts talking, saying, "Oh, mate, where have you come from?" And he's like, "Oh, 42 Commando and all this and blah blah blah." And then at one point, one of the lads said something mentioned about the SBS or something like that. He said, "Are you in the SBS or something like that?" He says, "No." He says, "Apparently, if those boys in the pub, you wouldn't even know they were here."
What is breakpoint in a nutshell for someone? Why should they go to the website? Why should they email you?
A disruptive change in habitual behaviour in line with a predetermined goal.
Jesus, there we go. The road to success. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers, enjoyed that, mate.